Hello everybody, so this is me playing a game of Civilization where I had one simple goal, which was not to die. And that might sound like a not particularly ambitious goal, especially considering that I've played Civilization for quite a while now. But the reason for this is that I always find that in vanilla Civilization with no mods and no scenarios, I quite consistently die and I really struggle to play the game. And the reason for that is that I find myself just getting surrounded by a huge number of civilizations that hate me, and no matter how hard I try, they just constantly descend on me. So this time I decided to play with the one goal of being near an island or near the coast and just settling such that I could kind of, play a bit like England, and of course I am actually playing as England in this game, and just, explore this little continent and to work out what the islands are like and work out whether or not I can build up a reasonable basis for power there. So that was my goal. However, one of the massive issues is that I was pretty much screwed over from the start based on the fact that it's actually only me and Celtia on this continent. So basically it's kind of funny actually that it's England and the Celts on this one massive landmass, because it makes this landmass a little bit like the continent version of England, shared between the English and the Celts. But the problem with this is it meant that I didn't really have anybody I could trade with, anybody who I could kind of, trade technologies with. And it really hampered my technological development, forced me to be in a kind of new world situation and just try to build up my technology. But by the time that I encountered civilizations from the old world, they were well ahead of me because they'd all been trading technology with each other. Also, as you'll see, I end up going to war with the Celts a lot in this game, which ends up pretty much closing the door on any kind of diplomacy. However, I don't think it would have been that useful anyway, because I don't think I could have got much out of trading with the Celts. So right now I'm mostly working on building up my workers to actually work the land around me. And of course, I'm also working on, making sure that I'm exploiting the fishing areas. And I'm, of course, also planning with these settlers I have to actually start founding a city on one of these islands near me. I also, whenever I chop down a forest, I usually try to make it so that I'm building a settler, because of course, or a worker, because they stop you from building up your population growth. So I think, well, if they're going to stop me building up my population growth, I might as well just get that production bonus to very good use. So I'm founding my first city here, which is, I think I do just decide to call it York in the end. Sometimes I like to fiddle around with the names, and you will see me do that at various points. But, obviously, there's not much point coming up. I like to make it feel a bit like real in terms of actually coming up with names that would sort of work for the location. Mostly here, I'm just kind of exploring these islands, working out where I could settle in the future. And of course, just continuing to build up my workers so that I can actually, make productive use of this land around me. But there really aren't many resources around me, unfortunately. One of the things I actually realized, because I've been thinking for a long time, why is it that I do so badly at these vanilla games where there's no scenario? It's just you just click play now and you just play a game. Why am I so bad at it? And I think what I realized actually is that it's because the map is so sparse. Because I'm used to playing games with 18 civilizations, but actually the default for a large map is, I think, like 11 civilizations. So that's 7 fewer civilizations. And the consequence of that is it means things are far more spread out. And I think because I'm used to playing games, because, most scenarios are actually quite dense. And of course, I'm founding a wonder here. And also most custom games in general are quite dense. So when I instead find myself in a situation where there's only a relatively small number of civilizations in quite a large map, other civilizations end up spreading a huge amount, and I'm just not used to that. I think it's contradictory to my style of play. I got very annoyed by this galley here that was destroyed all of my stuff, and ultimately I don't think I even had metal working at this point, which I think is what you need in order to build a trireme. So that was a bit unfortunate. But I am also dealing with these barbarians too. So mostly I'm just having issues with barbarians in the game so far. And I think I'm glad that I built up this army to be able to actually counteract them, and I'm doing that quite effectively. Unfortunately, I do lose that galley there. Also, I had quick combat on for this game, which means you don't actually get to see the combat play out. I did that because, for me, a lot of the time it's just faster, but it's not quite as entertaining to watch. So later on, and I've already recorded several other kind of sessions playing Civilization, I actually made it so that I did have the quick combat off, so you can actually see the combat play out. I'm founding a city here, which is incredibly useful because it's going to give me access to iron. That's good. Ultimately, I'm securing the important resources, and to be honest, at this point, I'm quite happy with how this game is going. And also, you'll see there I've established a merchant. I often focus on building up merchants and making sure that I've got a good financial situation going on, and that's obviously helped by the UK. I've just founded a religion too. That helps financially because I can build the shrine at a later point. But yeah, it helps with the UK because the UK obviously has financial bonuses when it comes to commerce. Of course, actually, the main benefit of discovering Confucianism is that technology also allows me to launch the civic of caste system, which you just saw me do there. I'm building up my soldiers now. But the main benefit of the caste system is that it allows you to, I think what I do here is I try to take the city with, I just use one soldier, one swordsman, and he wins. And I think, I'm not going to throw any more away, because I don't think, obviously swordsmen are good at city attacks. So I just, decide to wait for that. Anyway, basically, the caste system pretty much, I think, allows you to just have infinite, merchants. And obviously, like I say, I've got a big focus on merchants. That's pretty much a no-brainer. You'll see me rename the city because, again, it's Apache. I'm like, I think it's Apache. I'm not going to lie, the display I'm watching this on right now is not that clear. But basically, obviously, I think I rename it to Westmouth. And that's something I like doing, just like thinking about the location. Obviously, this is the mouth of a river and it's in the west, hence Westmouth or Westmouth, as it would probably end up being pronounced. You can see me now exploring the Celtic land. And here's the thing, the Celtic land is spreading a lot, and that's something which just is insane to me. And I think, like I say, I've always found in these vanilla games that I just really struggle to actually survive and not just have people descend at me from all angles. And I think one of the reasons for that is because I end up playing too small. And the reason I do that is because, like I say, I'm used to playing games where there are far more civilizations. I think at some point I'm going to have to try and do a vanilla game, but with 18 civilizations, because I think I'd be quite likely to actually do significantly better there. Because even in, for example, the world map scenario, which is basically a vanilla game, no mods or anything like that. Oh, I just went to war with Celtia, by the way. So this is the first, I guess, Anglo-Celtic war. And the thing is, you'll notice this is too far away from me, so I destroy it. And then I'm kind of, building up my army again to really mess with them. And I think my goal here was to actually really strike at their capital. What would have been ideal is if at some point I could have actually made them capitulate, but that was actually quite difficult for me to do, considering the fact that, and here's a fantastic thing, they literally, even as I'm destroying their cities, they keep founding new cities. And the thing is, it's an example of how there's a massive contrast in this game between the AI and the actual player. Because if I was a player and I was just having my cities razed to the ground and destroyed by my enemy, I'm considering making peace here and wondering whether or not I end up agreeing to it, so that ends that war. If I was getting my cities destroyed like this, I wouldn't just be able to replace them, but for some reason, the AI is just able to replace cities, which of course sort of sucks, because my goal here was to basically keep Celtia in check, strike at them, destroy a lot of their land, and stop them from developing and building up in the future. But the thing is, it just seems like AI is far too good, in my opinion, kind of unrealistically so, to the point I think it kind of creates issues for the game mechanics, far too good at bouncing back from a war. Now, what you've seen here is I've just discovered Macemen, and Macemen are, of course, fantastic at destroying cities. And also, you can see Celtia, even in that short amount of time, has already come right up to the border. And interestingly, I just did the pacifism civic, which, of course, is contrary to the fact that I've just declared the second Anglo-Celtic war. But it's actually because pacifism helps build up great people, and that's why I just got a great merchant just there. So you're going to see me, I do that, and I destroy it because I don't really want these cities. And, you might say, well, why don't you want those cities? Because surely if the issue is that you're too spread out, you would want to. You're seeing me defend myself here in this forest. I think I do quite well. If I actually no, I think this guy does actually die, which makes sense. But you might say if I'm worried about not being spread out, then shouldn't I be taking these cities? But the issue is that they're so far away, and one of my goals was not to get too far in debt, which of course, if I had loads of cities, I would, because I was concerned about being behind technologically and thinking, well, if I build up my money, then I might be able to trade with other civilizations as it goes forward. I don't know if that was a good strategy in hindsight, but yeah, I just wasn't interested in taking over all of this land. It didn't feel like at this point my empire would be capable of sustaining so many cities. So that's why I'm conquering all this land. And you see, I mean, I'm doing well. Like, this is unambiguously a massive loss for the Celts. And yet, ultimately, they still do bounce back. Like, this should have been, like, if this were a realistic game, then just totally destroying all of their holdings on this continent should really have been the end for them. And I hardly lose any troops at all in this. And obviously I get a great general because of, you know, how much war I'm fighting. But you can see actually they've already founded another city back where I just destroyed one of their cities. So it's almost like they're somehow able to produce settlers to replace cities almost as fast as I can conquer them, which is kind of ridiculous. So what you're saying here is I'm finally having my first contact with somebody from the old world. And obviously, you know, at this point, the old world is very much involved in everything. So, and yeah, this army gets close to me, man. So yeah, they actually strike back at me, even though I'm kind of totally destroying them, and very much do just there. And I'm like really kind of I'm trying to threaten their capital. That's what I'm trying to do. But basically, yeah, I think I end up going there so I can actually have time to give a upgrade. And now I'm kind of surrounded. I had a pretty big garrison there, which was helpful. And yeah, I basically just wipe these people up. I don't think I end up getting everybody, but it ends pretty well. So yeah, basically just get that. Yeah, overall, I mean, I don't know if I mentioned this, but yeah, my plan was to try and get them to be a vassal, but I didn't have feudalism, which you need in order to make them a vassal. So yeah, I just wait for that, and then boom, that's them done. Ultimately, it's kind of ridiculous how well I do militarily, in contrast to like the actual kind of position of power I end up having in the game. Like, I just basically destroy the Celts at several key moments and in several key wars. But ultimately, a lot of the time, I end up kind of being disappointed with the results. Yeah, here's me founding a world wonder, and now I'm attacking here. And again, I think this is another city which was refounded. And I, end up taking this. And I don't think, did I lose any troops there? I don't think I did. Which is just kind of ridiculous. But yeah, so then I think I end up, just waiting until the next go, and then boom. So that's like a huge amount of soldiers I destroy, and my KD ratio is ridiculous. But again, this is so far away from my capital. This is not somewhere I really want to defend. Although, admittedly, maybe if I would have defended there, it might have been better because I could have stopped them getting into the lower part of the continent and then maybe settled it at my own time rather than constantly just having to push them back with wars. Because, I mean, the ultimate goal of these wars, of course, is to basically make it so that they are weaker, to stop them getting too far ahead of themselves. Because, of course, otherwise, if they had all of this territory and I didn't do anything to push them back from it, they would just be building up that territory, developing that territory. I do end up getting quite severely counterattacked there. So I think I decided to make peace. Yes, it gives me an option to make peace. To be honest, I should have just said we don't want peace and then, made peace with them by striking a deal. You can actually see there that they've just founded that city that I destroyed. So basically, no sooner have I made peace, they've already started replacing any of the damage I did. And yeah, I really should have, in hindsight, taken that city and actually used it to kind of at least assert more control over the kind of southern part of this continent. Anyway, that's the end of the video. So next time, I mean, obviously we had 2 Anglo-Celtic wars there. And in the next video, we're going to explore even more of the intense fighting, intense violence, lots of conflict, and continue to see how I managed to continue with my goal of surviving, but not really get the results I was very much hoping for. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Bye.